financially his own risk. It's a poem of Walt Whitman, which I really love, I really like. And I consider that this new order is this is the integral paradigm, which is arising. And as the priest of man, I would say the lawyers or the juridical system. And the new order I see is related with law. When I see the word order, I related that with law. So what I'm trying to do with my PhD thesis is to make this poem real or true. Yeah. In instance, I'm using the Gebser theory as a map. So I'm using the Gebser theory as a map to say we are here and we are going here, and law is situated here, and here are the limits, and here's where we are going, and trying to prove that. Not easy, but I'm trying. So the thesis is about the environmental crisis as a crisis of our, as a mutational period, our mutational period, and from the mental limits of the mental rational limits of the material growth, because the Earth is limited, to a new integral, a-perspectival paradigm. This is my thesis. But my feeling and where I really want to go is to know what could be the role of the jurist, of the lawyers, if there's a role there, on this new a-perspectival reality. And in instance, or in between, I feel is that we need to transform ourselves to transform the law. If not, it doesn't matter. We're still making rights and duties, but we don't transform ourselves. It's not going to work. So this is still a little bit far, but the beginning is the limit of the mental rational, the mental rational paradigms through the limit of material growth. So the environmental crisis is a consequence of the deficiencies involved by considering the world or reality according to a merely mental rational perspective, which is, and this is represented by the limit of material growth, which is an form of 1972 that the scientists said that the world has limits. We cannot continue growing. It's a scientist inform of 1972. Therefore, the contemporary legal system belongs to this paradigm, and therefore the contemporary legal system is also limited. And second, I'm trying to find the connection between the limits and the deficiencies of the mental rational system and the mutation towards an integral one. So the goal is to build the connection, and in instance, I'm using this thesis of Gebser that everything is related and everything is integrated between the limits of our system and the new one, which at the same time means the connection between the deficiencies of the actual paradigm, as mental rational paradigm, and the efficiency of the new paradigm, which I consider on this new paradigm we can go out of the environmental human crisis, consciousness crisis with this new paradigm. So I focus on the mutation toward an integral a-perspectival system, which might serve as an efficient frame able to support the integral development of humanity. I think law should serve to create this new order of Walt Whitman too. And I consider for the moment it does not help. It does not help. So I'm not. That's not a criticism of the legal system. It's the legal system as well as the mental rational paradigm. And to this point, have been totally useful to arrive where we are, to show that there's a limit, but we can go further. And the consequence of the limits of what is this crisis, what we are living today, what we are facing today. So I'm going to focus also on the intensities. I will focus on intensities. So in concept with the systematization of the legal system, I will focus on the intensities, that is rather than quantify the extensities, as Feuerstein said. Well, About the mental rational structure, some tips I got. There's a lack of moderation. There's an excessive projection of our individual directed action into the outer world. So we all want something, but there's not enough. But we all want it, so we are always fighting because it's mine or it's yours. So it's rights and duty. This lack of moderation provokes also equality between the individual, which is in opposition with the world. We are in opposition. On the one hand, we have the environment, which is there, the birds and the beautiful national parks. And on the other hand, it's myself, the person the individual, which in law is called the subject of law. It's the one who becomes rights and duties. This is what we are for the law, subject of law. So the individual, the personality identifies with himself with his directional thought. So where I want to go, that is what I am, which is projected on something imaginary, that is where I want to go. And in instance to do that, I have rights and duties. So I'm concentrated on a matter to be focused on the future. The future is there, I can't create. And this directional thought, this something that I'm gonna conquer, and for what I have rights and duties, supplies or try to supply my guidance and contention. Also my every person origin. I don't know what is it that I'm going there. Again. So the individuals, so the mental rational individual pretends to have achieved a complete power and independence beyond nature. So I want it, I get it. I make it all here, I take all or whatever because I want it. Which is actually an illusion, because this abstraction of reality, this illusion that I'm disconnected from the every person origin, provokes at the same time the isolation, our isolation, and also at the same time we arrive to this limit of growth. And this at the same time makes or provokes a clash between what is measurable, which is the outer world, so the objective world, the oil or whatever we are taking from nature, resources, and the unmeasurable, what is inside, which is deep, also really ocean depth. So, we got a concept here that is sustainable development. This concept, that is the concept, and this concept arises in 1987. This is the World Commission on Environment and Development, Our Future COM. This is the United Nations concept for sustainable development, and it's very related with environmental law. So I'm taking this concept as a specific object of analysis. This is the concept. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And okay, so I'm putting there the words I consider should be also said that when they are talking about development, it's about material development, okay, to have something. And when we're talking about the needs, we are also talking about fears. So if I need something I don't have, I have fear. When we're talking about present and future generation, we're talking about linear time. This is very chronological time, so mental rational time. The concept says that the concept contains two key concepts. That is the concept of needs, in particular the essential need of the world's poor. We are talking again about own and having, and this richness about having. Which should be a priority, so material should be a priority, and the idea of limitations imposed by the state of technology and social organization on the environmental ability to meet present and future needs. So we are always talking about this linear time. This is the concept of United Nations. This is the concept that the United Nations have about sustainable development. Environmental law is founded basically on sustainable development. Okay, now we go to get started. As far as I know, a mutational period is always characterized by two facts: the awareness about the limits or deficiencies and the consequences involved by considering reality according to the dominant paradigm, which can be mythical or whatever, as we go further to a new paradigm. So the individual breakout of the cycle from the mythical to the mental paradigm, and then we go to the back accumulation, and so we go. And the second is that there's always resistance against the mutation towards the new paradigm, the unknown. And that we are always related with this fear to, okay. Well, this is the map. The idea of sustainable development represents the characteristic of the mutational period, as I see it. Because we have the awareness, which are the limits and deficiencies of the mental rational paradigm, the lack of modelation of the individual directed thought represented from the limit of material growth. This is the Meadows report of 1972, when the scientists said that the planet has limits. We cannot grow and grow and grow because there's limits. The resistance against the new paradigm, which I will, that is the concept of sustainable development, and then there's a mutation towards a new integral paradigm, because on the concept of sustainable development, I also see that there's a feeling, an inner wish, we all have an inner wish of secure and permanent welfare and wealth and happy and peace and everything. That can be maybe also understood, or at least I also understood it as a permanent guide contention of ever-present origin. This ever-present origin feeling is also there on the sustainable development. It's permanent welfare that we all like to have. So the efficiency of the new paradigm lays on the development of this integral a-perspectival welfare that is capable to reach beyond the limits of material growth. Is able to reach beyond the limits of time and space, of time and chronological space. So beyond the limits of the Meadows report. Well, about the awareness. So we got the map 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we go little by little. About the awarenesses, the limits and deficiencies of the mental rational paradigm are represented or confirmed by the limits to grow. That is the Meadows report of 1972. You can Google it. And the individual, until this moment, until we can say until 1972, because the scientists have been massive before, or not so loud, they have been feeling secure. Everything is okay. I identify with my directed thought action. I buy, and I get bigger and bigger and bigger one. I want more and more and more. And I got my guidance and condition. I'm happy because I got it and it's bigger. I'm happy. And I get it from the nature. Nature is there, I got it, I'm happy. So, but when 1972 the scientists said, hey, no, it's over. There's a limit here, we cannot continue growing. I said, oh, well, okay, and now what? So here's the awarenesses. And also the agony of this concept that Kepser uses that makes transparent that, hey, no, it's not, that's not real. It was an illusion. And so the illusion of future and outer matter to be achieved on the outer, this inner and guided contention, cannot be found anymore on the environment as nature. The scientists, the mental rational scientists say, hey, no. Even they say, no, it's not going to work. So the personal, that is in law, the subject of law, becomes this fear to perish that we are going to see on the resistance. Okay, so according to that before, I see we got two deficiencies on the mental rational paradigm. We can say we got an objective of material of measurable deficiencies, which is this awareness about the limit of material growth, and this awareness as far as the individual has pretended to gain independence by the conquest of the objective world. What is really happened, indeed, is that the mental rational structure has become silently and invisible deficient by the deflection of matter. So we were trying, okay, I'm happy, and no, you got nothing, you got nothing. When you get aware that this was wrong, we got nothing. That is the point now. We got nothing. We are limited. And here's the diaphany again that makes visible or take off the mask of the individual and shows the subjective deficiency, which is unmeasurable, which is the inner death. So the limit of material growth take off the mass of individuality and to the growth beneath, which is the need, I feel all the need of permanent wealth, inner guide contention, which may be also called ever-present origin, which is not found on the conquest of matter. So, once again, the temperance, the real cause beneath the environmental crisis is this one, our need, our inner need of guide and contention, our inner need of ever-present origin. And so I always criticize the greens. So I said that's why green energy is not the solution. If we continue, we can do green energy, but it's not the solution. So I go back to the concept of systasis to integrate and to work on the intensities, on the unmeasurable, instead of on the measurable, on the material. As examples of unmeasurable, on the first day, Professor Jason was talking about the hungry ghost. I see as hungry ghost, the infinite, also greed is an infinity, a hungry ghost. Or lust for power is also hungry ghost. You got election next month. And they need to be recognized. Also, this arrogance is also a hungry ghost, which transforms on the new paradigm, which is already here. This new paradigm is already here when we got the feeling that the more I give, the more I have. Which is, instead of talking about price, we talk about value. Instead of talking about power, we talk about strength. So the strength of the flower when opens is really powerful. Instead of talking about own, we talk about wealth. We also have compassion, humility, love, which are the good cost or something like that. So about the resistance contained on the idea of sustainable development, as Gebser said, it's a completely predicate of fear to perish, as well as a such of self-preservation mode. And this resistance is the theme of a dominant deficient paradigm to understand the mutation, the presentation, to solve the necessities, but its own terms and by its own structure. And I feel that my thinking is that the concept of sustainable development is trying to do this. It's just trying to fix, according to our mental rational paradigm, that we still can get it. We still can have as much as we want to, and we do it on this way. We do it sustainable. We do green energies, and we get it. Don't worry. We can get it. We can still have something bigger, because we do it sustainable development. That's why I see that this is the resistance. Individually, the fear, we all have the fear to die, which I related with this untrust that the professor was talking. It's, no hope, I want to die. It's untrust. Which for the economists is the fear not to have. We cannot grow, we can still not grow. It's the fear not to have. And for law, which is always protecting the economy, law is always protecting the economy. So it's called legal security, and the subject of law is materialized on rights and duty. You got the right to get it, and you got the duty to pay for it, and that's all. So I took this quote from Adam Watts. This is: to be secure means to isolate and fortify the I, but it is just the feeling of being an isolated I, which makes me feel lonely and afraid. In other words, the more security I can get, the more I shall want. And it's the same. I want always more, and we do it sustainably, so we can get it. In 1972, we got the limits of growth, also the limit of space, and space is related with time. It means that what the scientist is saying, that is depletion of matter, is also the depletion of time. Time runs out. We don't have any more time. And this is our field of anxiety. I think the whole time we gotta get it, And the thing is, because there's no more matter to be conquered. And if I don't go, you will go. So I go first. So sustainable development is anyway a race against time. And unhappy ephemeral synthesis, which confines the deficiencies as well as makes this visible that the mental rational paradigm is elaborate and he was talking about the ear, and it's this labyrinth, it's the ear, and it's a labyrinth from which we cannot get out. So we cannot get out from this labyrinth doing sustainable development. We cannot get out this doing green energies or whatever. And it's an attempt of the mental rational paradigm to solve deficiencies by its own perspectival logic. And the reason of this attempt is that the mental rational paradigm can survive only and as far as the world is objective and measurable, apprehended. If the world is something that is an integral, okay, mental rational paradigm is goodbye. It's something new. So indeed, the limits of material growth is the limits of the mental rational paradigm, and which pretends to solve the environmental crisis by terms of its own perspective, and ignores the unmeasurable deficiency, the real of need, which is the need of inner guide attention for ever-present origin. Okay, the mutation. However, the sustainable development may be an oxymoron, something not possible, not real. Makes visible this inner wish of permanent wealth. The concept may visible this wish of permanent wealth. So here's the connection between the deficiency and the efficiency. And for saying that, I'm using the concept of synergesis that Gibson called about. Okay, conclusions. Like, I'm taking this poem of Anna Smith, which I also all know, and the day came when the risk to remain tied in a path was more painful than the risk to blossom. So the crux of the human environmental crisis is that we consider nature as resources to make us happy, and they are limited. So it's also limited our happiness. That's the problem. We have fear. Because our ego, the ethics of action is projected from these resources, and I think we should work on these intensities. That is about love and compassion, what we were talking about. So the dominant paradigm I see is at the tie bar of the poem, which fears inside the emergence of the new a-perspectival integral paradigm, which is the blossom of the flower. So the environmental crisis configures actually a mutational period. On this sense, if the objective material development has limits, the subjective inner integral development is ocean level. We are very, very happy inside. We very no limit happiness. And for example, I take love, cooperation, and compassion. So consider overall, I consider that the international juridical system, through us, the jurists and human jurists, should open to a leap of consciousness in order to be able to set a frame to support the integral coming paradigm. And now is where I am. Okay, how do we do it? I don't know. What I see that integral paradigm needs this spiritual or integral transformation of the human as the jurist in order to transform the law. It's not going to work. And it begins with the freedom of our ego. And this is the words of Jan Gebser, considers to render transparent everything's latent behind and before the war, to render transparent our origin, our entire human past, as well as the present, which already contains the future. We are shaped and determined not only by today, but by tomorrow as well. And I took the imagine that is right out here, the Virgin, and I call it, we just have to surrender to miracles. The new integral paradigm is a miracle, and we should just surrender to this miracle. So the need of personal transformation, to unmask, to take off the individual, which for law is to address the subject of law. So we should have less rights and duties, and we should have more responsibilities, but less rights and duties, which means the self-free structure of ego. I think that I could talk about that for the thesis using the concept of individualization of Carl Gustav Jung. Is becoming aware of oneself, or becoming aware of our ever-present origin. I also consider that if we unmask the jurist and the subject of law and the human, we make visible, we make transparent the real law that Professor was talking on the under the map, what's real. And so there's no need for a juridical system, because we all know what is real. We don't need no one to tell us you gotta do this or you don't have to do that. Which also means to unmask myself, and also means my own personal transformation. That's so I am the thesis. I'm doing this, and I am the thesis. So, and what does it mean for me? It means to go beyond my own mental and rational limits, to my ego, my fears to perish. That's maybe a primordial trust in humanity. So with resilience, compassion, responsibility, beyond my right or my duty, something else. Of course, a primordial trust on the ever-present origin of something. Okay. Primordial trust on it, and on being irrational. So it depends on me. My thesis is okay. Be irrational. You want to tell them? Okay, you gotta be irrational. And so far, I think that the poetry of Walt Whitman in this sense is a prophecy. Yeah, it's a prophecy. So I'm using the prophecy just the point of yesterday. So the prophecy is not lost. Whatever is becoming, whatsoever is not yet, but is, not yet, but is. So Sophia, I love someone who also named Sophia. So, and she really transforms the fear in this birthing, as we all now live our dying. Okay. I become every day a message from my spiritual teacher, which was and today the message was, satisfied, okay? And today the message was this one, so I wanted to also to share it with you. This is that love is the very nature of life, as burning in the nature of fire, or wetness of water, or sweetness of sugar. That's the message for today.
Well, first of all, welcome to you in the United States. Is this your first time?
Well, yes, I was here when I was in
Well, welcome to the United States. I think it's wonderful to have people like yourself coming, and we want to sing our song on time and create a new song. So it's great to have you. Are you familiar with the notion that the branch of semiotics that is really coming to be alive now and very important? It's called semioethics.
Okay.
The word, it's one word, semioethics.
Okay.
And it's not about linguistic thing, it's semiotics in a broader sense. Semioethics, the work of Susan Betravi, P-E-T-R-I-L-L-I. I have your email, I can send it. The work of John Deere, a dear friend of mine, who's very well known semiotician. I pray for his health. He's leading our world. So Susan Betravi, John Deere, and the guy by name Farouk Saif, I don't know who this guy is, wrote a lot about semioethics. And the idea, we cannot design, we cannot act out of fear or desperation. We need necessity and the chance. It's by desire. I just finished a lecture in Mexico. We have, I'm sorry, I'm going to say something here a lot of philosophers probably would not like. It is the end of persuasion. Persuasion does not work anymore. I have to sell you a car, for example. I have to persuade you to buy my car. More better than persuasion, I think, is very interesting idea. And I want to talk about it not in a sexual connotation. From persuasion to seduction. We need to seduce each other. We need to connect with that beyond humans, what we call more than humans. Susan Bertrami wrote a lot about that. They say, acknowledging the presence and ethics of the other, and the others of other, the otherness of other. It's a beautiful way to say that. And so the work Susan Bertrami in particular would be incredible. Italian sanitation.
So, first of all, I want to join in welcoming you and commending you also to give such an elaborate presentation in a foreign language. It's you know, the Gebser terms are difficult even for those of us who are used to them in English. So I want to welcome you and commend you. Second, I want to say that I think that a lot of what you're talking about is really addressed in the second of the two essays that I discussed from Gebser, where he's talking about the complementarity between the Eastern technology and the Western technology. And I think that this essay may be very meaningful to you, and I'm happy to send it to you. Not mine, but Gebser's. You're welcome to have mine too, but skip it and read Gebser.
Paul also reads German, so he can read it.
Right. But most importantly, though, for your argument, to help strengthen your argument, I'd like to know if you have thought about the legal concept of reasonableness and how reasonableness needs to change if we're to become a perspectival law.
Yes.
Because so much of international law is based on this concept of what's reasonable, what a reasonable person would see as reasonable. This is something that is a kind of a tyranny of the majority in law, because if you have an outside perspective, then your perspective is by definition not acceptable legally because it's not what a reasonable person would see. And that's one of the sort of checks and balances about what makes law change slowly, but it changes at the behest of the majority. If we are, as you suggest, to formulate at least an environmental law, jurisprudence, based on an a-perspectival approach, then how do we deal with reasonableness?
Let me see what in light of that, what is the meaning of justice in interval consciousness?
Didn't you say we would Didn't you say we would dispense with the juridical system? That sort of that law itself would not be necessary. Didn't you say that?
Once again, please, I didn't understand.
Didn't you say that the juridical system itself would be dispensed with?
Dispensed with?
Gotten rid of. Done away with.
Wouldn't exist anymore.
I think on a very, very, we need no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So then that question is not relevant, right?
Well, but it's relevant in the meantime.
In the meantime, the thing is, I need the meantime because I gotta defend this in front of a tribunal of
All right.
lawyers, I gotta be really, okay, that's
Okay.
why. I need the meantime.
All right. So then.
Okay. So how much, thank you also, I want to add, welcome from everybody this thing. Thank you so much for bringing heart into law and bringing your being here. Thank you. I wanted to ask, how much are you working with economists? Because they don't seem to have been in on the 1972 so,
I think I will connect it with happy economies. With the index of happy economies. There are some countries which are already using an index of happy economies.
What?
Happy economies.
The happiness index.
Happy economists.
Exactly.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because the most richful country on earth are not the happiest
Right.
one. And so the economists, new economists are saying that it's a happy economy. So if it actually goes about being happy, okay, it's not about to have, it's about to share and different concepts. And in order that a law is always related with economies, I think I could use this happy economies to go a little bit farther with law.
Have you worked with or Herman Daly or even very more recently Charles Eichenstone?
No, look at this.
Okay, I'll send you.
Yeah.
I also want to thank you. I really strongly resonate with everything you shared.
Thank you.
I think you summed it up well in your comment. You said the limit of material growth is the limit of mental rational consciousness.
Yeah.
And your use of Firestein's quote, I think, is maybe kind of the answer to some of that element in terms of dealing with the proper arrangement of intensities rather than quantify it. That's the shift.
Yeah.
And I want to take this opportunity to recommend to you, as well as everyone, Peter Pagani's works. And Pagani was an economist, and very much resonating with Herman Daly. His first book, Rethinking the World, covers, as much as any integralist I know of dealing with limits to growth was Peter. And his last book is on the shelf back there, Havoc.
Okay.
Strongly recommend. And I have on my website and my blog, Integral Permaculture, links to all of his papers, Gebser conferences from, I think, 2009 through 2013. Very relevant to everything.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, I just had one quick comment / synchronicity in a Jungian fashion. You mentioned 1972 as the date where scientists announced the limits of growth. Interestingly, 1972 was also the last Apollo moon mission, Apollo 17. So I just thought that as a kind of, the spatialization of consciousness, the conquering of space and the mental rational, literally just as a synchronicity there, ended up being the last mission. It was defunded. We lost momentum.
Yeah, thank you. I take it.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
And we did have a really good discussion last night, right, about satisfying people's needs so they wouldn't have a need for the legal system. We discussed economics quite a bit at dinner last night.
Yeah, thank you.
Are the transcripts available?
You have to look at Lula's
Just
Astro
consult the
experiments.
record.
Lula's experiments and results give everybody a basic wage in healthcare. And they tried it in New York too, but it didn't work in New York.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.